Yo, 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 what's good, YouTube? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back welcoming you to the Friday Night Chop Session with Stormybman for this Friday, April 30th, the last day of the month in the year 2021. And we are here to talk boxing. This is episode number 108, and we're calling it a full day of boxing. Shout out to the LDBC brothers and sisters of the community out there. Keep us going, keep us supported through all of the madness. So we are here welcoming everybody. Glad to see you guys out there. Glad to be back. We had a great show last night with the three wise men of boxing. If you guys didn't have a chance to tune in and check that show out, please catch it on the replay. It's there in the archive, raring to go. Great conversation as we discussed fighters and their greatest performances. And it's going to be a show that we'll revisit, where we get a chance to talk about great fighters and their greatest performances. So we are here. Let's get it going. Want to say welcome to everybody that's out there. We got Big Homie Coop out there and my man Bruce Goes. Salute to you, brothers. We are here this evening to talk a little boxing. We're going to talk about the fights that are coming up tomorrow. Talk about a few things that were on the blotter as far as news. The Brother Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens will be joining in a little bit, and we'll save some of that conversation because Reggie will have, some things to say about what's been going on in the news. But I just want to start off, we could just, make it a little fun here before we get cooking on the real serious subjects and things of note. But when you talk about this brother Ryan Garcia, man, this guy here, and no, I'm not talking about the mental health. I'm just talking about, like, okay, if, hanging out on the beach and, being with a nice young filly in a bikini and everything is therapy, hey, man, more power to the brother. I mean, I don't know if that's going to get his mind right, but it may get a few other things right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, my goodness, man. To be young, right? To be young and to do the things that you do and draw attention to yourself. Sometimes when you don't want to draw attention to yourself, you do all kind of things, and therefore you got folks looking at you sideways and whatnot. But hey, you're only young once. That's what I'll say about that young man right there. My man, shout out to KQKC, where he called him the Burger King guy. It's like, oh, man. But yeah, if that's how you want to, go about your therapeutic process, I ain't mad at you, brother. I know seeing a nice figure like that and everything, I don't know how much it do for my mental well-being, but it sure helps these cataracts that Stormy might be getting when he sees it. It's like, oh, man. Oh, shout out to my man Eric Jenkins, a member of the channel out there in the chat. He says, salute, Stormy, and salute to you, brother. DT, also a member of the channel out there. He says, salute, Stormy B-Man, and everyone in the chat. Sylvester is out there. He says, salute, Stormy, brother. Salute to you. Thrill Hill says, salute, Stormy B. Yes, sir, man. Hey, listen, man, if you can't laugh, right, you might as well be dead, man, because it's like you have to find some things in life to laugh about. You have to find some things to feel good about, even when you don't want to laugh, you don't feel like smiling. But this is what we do, in life. It's like you have to sometimes you turn them lemons into lemonade, man. Just put a little extra sugar in there, that's all. But I tell you, man, I can always find something to laugh about with these guys out here in the boxing world, man. It's never boring. And as Larry Merchant said one time, the theater of the unexpected, that's definitely what boxing is, you know. Tone Brown, I see you out there. Salute to you. Sylvester is out there, and he's saluting Bruce. Yeah, so here we are, man. These weeks are going by fast than a mug, Jack. It seems like only 3 or 4 days ago that Reggie and I was just doing the Friday night chop session. So they're moving right along. And it's really hard to keep up with what's happening, man. It's like, can you believe it? It's just like boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? But I just want time to slow down a little bit. You know, I'm getting older, man. It's like pump the brakes a little bit. You know how you riding in a car with somebody that's driving real fast and you sitting on the passenger side and you be hitting that imaginary brake pedal that don't exist on your side. It's like Stormy is sitting like that as these days are flying by, man. I'm sitting there pumping the brakes and they ain't there, you know, and it's like the days are still wisping by, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I wanted to slow down a little bit. There might be some flowers I want to sniff, you know what I mean? Shoot. But yeah, man. Glad to see you guys out here. Smash that like button as you come in. We here. I wanted to I was just laughing about some of the stuff we you know open up talking about, man. But I want to announce another you know, another plateau that we reached over the past 48 hours. You know, Stormy's channel has now gone up over 1,500 subscribers. And I know for the brothers out there that is banking thousands of subscribers, that's mere peanuts to them. But let me say, man, it's been a haul for me. And to get to this point of this many subs in the amount of time that I've been working at my craft here with the Stormybman brand and channel, I have to take my hat off to all of the people who found me worthwhile, you know, listening to my content, supporting the channel, looking for new members to be a part of this process as we become even more creative with ideas for programming content, you know, going forward in the future. So this is something that I was really happy to see that it happened, and it's onward and upward. You know what I mean? With the way that we're moving in this channel, I could definitely make 2,000 before the end of this year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, let's link it up and let's move it forward, man. We've got people out here, and I say, hey, let's get it done, man. Let's get it done. Because I'm doing my part, you guys are doing your part, and you know, it is what it is. We're moving, man. We are moving, and it feels good. Feels good to be able to get out here and perform a bit of you know, content created that you want to tune in for. A lot of times people just get on and they be talking about a lot of different crap that you may not want to hear about and whatnot. But me, I try to keep it boxing. I do my best to do that. And, you know, it doesn't go unnoticed that you guys are supporting me. So here it is. And I always show you when I hit these landmarks, I let you see it because I have, you know, Video IQ out there, and they monitor what I'm doing for the channel, and they always alert me and give me these little decals and certificates, man, that show me what the progress is. And it's tremendous, believe me. And I'm not boasting, I'm just eternally grateful. So, you know, it is what it is out here. So yeah, I want to say salute to my man Taylor Bell out there in that super chat. The brother is always supporting the channel and leading the way, letting others know that they could do the same, you know, because we out here together as we do this and we go through this process, man. it's just something that I feel really, really good about. You know, feel really good about it. And I hope that we can get some of these other ideas I have in mind underway, because as we do that, it's going to give us a chance to go through different types of programming where we can have contests. We're going to have prizes and giveaways, things of that nature. And that always helps when you can do that. So, excuse me a second there. I had something happen behind the scenes here, and I'm trying to correct it. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, and thank you to all of you out there giving me the congratulations and whatnot, because, hey man, Stormy couldn't do any of this without you guys. I remember when I was sitting in my media room creating my first video, launching out, talking about, hey man, I'm going to do my own content. I've been inspired by the other brothers in the community, so I want to come out there and throw my hat in the arena and blah, blah, blah. And I made that first video announcing, I think that was in 2018, December of 2018. And then by January or February, I started getting brothers hitting me up, you know, brothers like, we had Legendary TOPCATZ. Shout out to Legendary TOPCATZ. He was one of my earliest supporters, man. And Laws D, Punch Out TV, man, they started sending me emails and messages like, hey, Stormy, where the content at, man? You said you was going. So I was like, oh, shoot, let me get up and start doing something, because now since I had announced it, right, I got people asking me, hey, man, I thought you was going to have something here for us. You know what I mean? So I had to start getting in there and making stuff. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Still really don't know what I'm doing to a degree. I got a feel for what I would like to be doing. But I'm out here learning, man. I'm on a serious learning curve. But you guys make it fun. You guys make it worth the while. And when I see you out here supporting like that, and even those who have, like, remember, they're just becoming members of the channel, man, if you would have told me back then that I would have people signing up to be a member and this and that, that would have been like a dream, because I'm like, man, they want to listen to me. You know what I mean? So thank you. That's what I wanted to say, man. Thank you. And let's get it, as they say. We're going to keep going and keep on growing. So I see we got a few more in here that have come in. Like I said, Taylor Bell joined us. Mark Nash, my man, is out there. What's good with you, Mark Nash? Good to see you out there as well. Who else? Felix Nunez out there. He says, congrats. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. DT says, now that home, hope your day went by fast. Yes, sir. Taylor Bell is at Mark Nash. What's up, man? He says, your podcast going good. What's the name of it? He wants to check it out. And my co-host is out there, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. He's saying, salute my peoples. And Taylor Bell saying, you know what, Stormy B, man, a lot of people say they want to do this and they want to do that, but they never take that actual physical step. Yes, sir. I took the plunge and started my own business a year ago. And salute to you, Taylor Bell, because, again, even, you know, me being a coach, a former coach, because I'm not coaching at this time, but when I was working as a coach in the gym, one of the things that you had to do for the talent that you work with is to keep them interested and engaged, the motivation factors. So one of the things that I would always stress is this: very few people become deemed great because few are willing to take the risk that it might require. And that's something to always keep under your cap, because if you don't try, you don't know what a success or failure may mean. And even in the event that you do fail, having gone to step to bat is better than having not, right? It's like to get out there and give it the try. You might, it may be a path to something even totally different, where you may find yourself being more successful in a different means. And that's what it's all about. So as a coach, we have to try to find ways to keep our proteges in a place of wanting to commit to the job at hand. You know what I mean? So that's very true, and great for you, Taylor Bell, for stepping out on faith and getting out there to make it on your own. I respect it. D. Hodges is out there. He says, "What up, Stormy in chat? LDBC, salute, family." Yes, sir. Salute to you, D. Hodges. But it's very important that we understand that, man. Very important. I call this show A Day Full of Boxing because tomorrow, starting in the early part of the afternoon, we are going to have full fight cards that are going to take us through into the evening. And, you know, as much as some people don't care for them, but the Zone will be kicking it off, you know. And the fact that the Zone is going to kick that off for tomorrow, it's a good thing because they have long cards. So I think maybe 1 or 2 p.m. Central Time, those cards will kick off, and I'm certain it'll lead us straight into the early evening, where we'll also see Showtime, and you know they'll be doing their thing, and that Showtime card will lead into fights that are on the pay-per-view for later on in the evening. So it's great that we're going to be having boxing like this, because this month we have events that will be taking place every Saturday of the month. So that's a lot of boxing, people. Just you won't get a chance to catch your breath hardly, because you'll be going right into another week of getting busy. And be careful what you ask for, as my man Kurt Sugar likes to say, because you just may get it, right? And here you are talking about, man, I want to see some matches. I just want people to be fighting. Boom. The month of May kicks it off with a grand fashion. So we can appreciate that, man. We really can. And to have matches every weekend, what I've elected to do is, instead of doing a whole bunch of, you know, breakdown videos and stuff, and I was shifting this way anyway, I had begun to say that you have to tune in to the Friday night chop session if you want to hear Stormy's breakdowns, because that's how I'll make my show on Fridays worthwhile, being able to talk about these wonderful cards that are being put together, and we can share ideas, whether we have, you know, it's Reggie and I on here regularly, and then we'll have guests on the panel, and we can have someone come in with a different voice that may see some things in a different manner, you know what I mean? And we can discuss the bouts before the bouts. And that's a great way, I think, of doing it, instead of just flooding the airwaves with videos and videos and videos. And sometimes the videos don't catch as many views because people are watching the live content. They're watching brothers out here speaking directly to them instead of, you know, over a video. Although I will produce some exclusive videos, and that'll be for the members. And so everything will work itself out because the members have invested in the channel and they look for content. And that's a way that we can go about, you know, the reciprocity of them, you know, showing that support for me, and me showing, you know, what I have to share with them, you know. So this is just another way of doing good things with the channel. So, you know, just want to keep it like that. You know what I mean? We do things and we try different things out. And if something's not working well or whatever, or if it's not a popular way of going about, then we can find something that'll be more popular. That's the one thing about me and how I produce things over here is like I try to stay in the graces of what is, interesting to my audience. And I know I have a particular audience because there are some people who are subbed up and support me, and they may support some other people, but they look forward to me doing exactly what I do. And, they don't want to see me acting out of character or doing something goofy or anything like that, or coming out with these, profane means of expression and stuff like that. That's not my lane. That's not my cup of tea. But what I will be doing is what I've been doing consistently. One thing about me is that if you go back, you watch the earlier content, you'll see that I've been very consistent over the time. I've gotten better with production value and quality, but this is how I go about my way of doing what I do. So I just wanted to share it, share that with you. I see you guys got some conversations going out there. But yeah, and having guests on here too, particularly like we having all these fights this month, it'll be nice to chime in with some brothers from different channels and whatnot, and they get a chance to express what their thoughts are as we talk about the fights. Because, Reggie and I, we do a pretty good job of working off of one another with where our interests are when it comes down to the sport. But having a different voice in there, it'll help. It'll help because being able to, have diversity like that, and then you can have discussions that can open things up a little bit better. So we keep that in mind. We keep that in mind. Let's see who we got here. We got my man Bernard Burton out there in that super chat. And Bernard has joined us. He says, salute Stormy and chat. Salute to you, Bernard, and appreciate you with your donation for the channel, man. Really do. It's always good to see when brothers come out and they support. And, I don't shake anybody down for super chats or whatever. So the fact that someone feels, they enjoy the content enough to drop something in support, I appreciate it. And I always write in the pinned message, what you give goes toward me getting a little bit better with the productions that I do out here. So it's not lost. It's done with, great intent. And we try to make the most of it as we out here. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So if it seems like I might be, killing some airspace, in a way I am, because I'm trying to wait for Reggie to get on with me so we can begin to discuss the fights for tomorrow evening. But I will touch on a subject that I'll do my best to tread carefully on this, and it's of a serious note. Some news has come down the pipeline that the fighter Felix Verdejo, who just recently came off of this fight with Nakatani, where he found himself getting off the canvas and he ended up losing this fight with Nakatani in a tough, grueling match. He had Nakatani down as well. It has been reported that Felix Verdejo from Puerto Rico has been questioned by authorities uh, in connection to a missing person. And apparently, this missing person is a woman that he knows and has known for a while. And Verdejo is a married man with a child. And this woman apparently is someone that he may or may not have been involved with, and that she has sought him out to discuss the fact that she may have been with child, and that that person that fathered the child would be Verdejo. Now, I read a couple of articles on this, and I am not speaking on this to point fingers, place blame or judgment or whatever, but apparently this young lady has been missing since Tuesday night or Wednesday morning when she didn't show up for work. And in Puerto Rico, because it's a very small place, people are fearing the worst because she has yet to turn up, and they're thinking that she may be deceased. And I don't know that to be true. Hopefully, even before we finish this show, something will come out. But as a person of interest, authorities have sought out to interview Verdejo, who has not been as willing to discuss matters with them. I don't know that that means that there's guilt or something, or it may be just because he's trying to, be protective of his personal interest, which is, he's a married man, and it's not a good look. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that it's not really, it's not pleasant to talk about, but it is news because this young man is one of the top fighters in the world right now, and he just came off of a great fight that was televised and everything, and this is tough. And prayers go out to the young lady's family. I did have some information. Let me see if I can pull it back up. Forgive me, chat. I am just trying to dig that information back up that I had on him as I was reading an article earlier. Let's see. Bear with me one moment, chat, as I try to drum this article up. Okay. Now, what I have, even since I launched and went live, there was an article from 10 hours ago, and this one is just from 4 hours ago, where they're discussing the situation, and they're saying that the woman, trying to get her name. Oh wow, this article. Now that's not cool. This article that just popped up from 4 hours ago, they're not even mentioning the young lady's name. The first article that I saw, it did have her name. And see, that's another thing. When they do stuff like that, that's not cool. This is someone's loved one. You know what I mean? And we have to. Okay, the young lady's name is Keishla Marlon Rodriguez Ortiz. She was 27 years old. And they're saying that, okay, they were saying that she's missing since Thursday morning, which was yesterday here. And they were alleged to have been romantically involved at one point, okay, according to a report from the news there over in Puerto Rico. Authorities in Puerto Rico have since issued a pink alert, which is a new bill passed last October to speed up the process in locating missing women due to the disturbing growing trend of gender violence on the island. The alert is utilized for women 18 years of age and older whose disappearances are linked to domestic violence, hate crimes, or crimes of sexual nature. Okay. And according to the investigation, the last known location for Rodriguez was at Verdejo's home, where she allegedly arrived with a pregnancy test in tow and to inform the boxer that he was the father. Wow. And Verdejo, who's currently 27-2 with 17 KOs, he's been out of the ring since a 9th round knockout loss to Mayoshi Nakatani last December at the MGM Grand in Vegas. The bout was televised on ESPN, and it saw Verdejo, a member of the 2012 Puerto Rico Olympic boxing team that competed in London, well ahead on all 3 scorecards, having scored 2 earlier knockdowns before suffering 2 knockdowns of his own in the fateful 9th round of the instant classic. Now, this article is on Boxing Scene, so if you guys want to read it for yourself, Boxing Scene, shout out to Boxing Scene, where the information that I'm sharing with you currently is. And I'll stop right there. It's something that I thought that, I would bring out because it's a serious note, and for the greater part of the Latin community out here, you guys may have personal family or friends that know of these parties. And, Stormybman doesn't like to, venture off into a lot of this real serious business that I don't have an attachment to. It's not that I disrespect it or am disrespectful of the information, but sometimes you do have a duty to speak on some things, and it can help get to some closure for people, or getting that word out so more people are aware of what's going on. So that's basically what I was trying to do with this, and let you guys know about it, because some people may not been aware. And hey man, it's a serious thing, very serious, you know what I'm saying? So just think of it, so prayers are with both parties' families that this is not something that we can see be of a criminal thing, and it could be something else. Let's just hope and pray for the best out of this. Let's see. I want to go back to the chat because I was reading this stuff and I want to see what you guys are talking about. Taylor Bell says, oh boy, yeah. Not a good way to get rid of a mistress. Hope she is still alive. Yes, sir. He says, what an absolute idiot if he did it. Yeah, man. Bruce Gold says at DT, Stormy don't like that, but you're good. Yeah. What was that? What happened? Okay. Yeah, DT, come on, man. We're talking about some more serious business here, man. We're not worried about what's happening, because you have to understand, if somebody wants to go where that's happening, they'll be there, But here, for the people who are tuned in here, I would like focus up. You know what I mean? What else we got out here? Mr. Mechanical says, yeah, this has the making of being a tragic, fam. Yes. I hope not, though. William Old School Artist out there. He says, salute, Stormy. Salute to you. Taylor Bell says, damn, so that's the story. It looks like she drove over to his house with a positive pregnancy test and told him he's the dad. He blew up and ultimately did something horrible to her. Hope she's alive. Yeah, man, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one. Reggie, if you're out there and still listening in the chat, could you let me know when you might be available? Because otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and start getting down into some of this content here, because we got to find a way to lift the spirit of our chat. But people should know about what happened. That's why I thought I would bring that information out there. Let's see. Kenneth Johnson, the resident medic, is out there. He's saluting. Rasheed Rourke is out there. He says, wow. And he says, decisions that will help or hurt you. Yes, sir. And Crawlface is out there. Says, salute, Stormy. And chat, salute to you. Okay, I see you out there now, Reggie. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing good, OG. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you pretty good. Hey, man, and shout out to you for the video that you dropped earlier this afternoon. That's where I found out about it, and then I scanned Google, to see if I could get more background on it and whatnot, and I was able. And then I spoke to behind the scenes. I spoke to someone and got some more information. So it's not looking good. It's not looking good. And I like for your input on this, because you did put a video out on it earlier this afternoon. And thank you for that. Because just like we like to talk about the great aspects of boxing and how we're able to interact and do certain things with people and this and that, this is very important as well, because both parties are living people, and it's like they have real lives, and something like this can be very tragic if it has taken that turn to the left. We've had some things happen in history from professional fighters who have taken things far to the left and found themselves in tragic circumstances. So thank you again for what you put out there, and let us know your thoughts, and if you got any updates, that'll be cool as well.
No, I haven't gotten any updates, but I think this is looking bad for Verdejo. I think it's looking real bad, and it's going to be hard for him to clear himself. For them to be looking at him as the only person of interest, that means he has some ties, and these are common scenarios involving a married man dealing with a mistress and her popping up pregnant, and him trying to conceal it from his wife. And that's woo, man, talk about ruining your life, man. He already dealt with trying to get himself back up following that motorcycle accident when he was on this, he was on this rise up. He's one of the, highly touted prospects coming up out the Olympics as well. And he gets into that accident, then trying to get himself back up in this Nagatani fight, end up falling short. And then he has this pop up. But also with women who end up in these situations, man, you got to be careful with what you're dealing with, especially when presenting to a married person that you're with, that you're pregnant. Your safety is always in jeopardy from a person losing it. And I've seen situations like that in life, not so much to where a person's taking the other person's life, but seeing how it ruins a relationship and how it ruins the family from having a child outside of a marriage, and seeing and there's nothing that comes from the relationship with the married man, the child, and the woman from the ones that I've seen personally. But for people who are trying to hide these things and not want to lose their wives, they take these drastic measures. And a woman should not put herself in those situations unless you have someone else. I wish the girl could have rolled with someone else. You got to do things with other people. you have to let people know what's going on in your damn life. Like, especially situations to where it's not going to be a happy situation to reveal the fact that you're pregnant. And then if you're talking about keeping a baby, that's what changes the scenario and makes it more of the thought that he committed something. He committed some level of crime. Like, it's going to be hard for him to clear himself just based on the circumstances that the family knows about it, and him being the last person that this girl was seen with. Like, that is not a good look. It's very bad. But we'll see what happens these coming days. I know he done lawyered up, so I don't know if that's just an admission of guilt, but it's kind of the appropriate thing legally they tell you to do. But this is a bad look for this dude.
Yeah. And again, this is one of those things where I don't do a lot of tabloid, and I'm not trying to consider this particular subject and event tabloid, but I usually steer clear of this. But when you talk about the violence against women and things like that, it's like it does have to be touched upon when you're seeing this woman. I don't know what happened, but they did say she went to see him, and she hasn't been seen since. So it's like, people know that Latin folks can get hot-headed, and if something transpired out of this, if she was attacked, if the wife attacked him, it's like, he would probably take a fall for his wife, because, that would, in some kind of sick way, it puts him in a better eye or something. I don't know, but it's, man, these love triangle things, and it's tough, man. It's really tough. But just thought I would mention it, come out here and let people know, because while people are celebrating and having a good time doing other things, there's always somebody who's on a far less fortunate side of things in life. And this was a woman who was with child. I'm sure she had family and loved ones and everything, and now she's got parents and whatnot, and you can't even imagine, her co-workers, her colleagues that work with her. She didn't show up for work. Nobody does. She's just like she's vanished off the planet. Come on, man. I have a daughter, so I know, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's crazy. So just wanted to put it out there, and hopefully we get some better news in the coming hours and days ahead. So, but it needed to be discussed. So, and we have. So let's move it forward. There are whispers out here, Reggie, that there's a pretty good chance that Manny Pacquiao may be going ahead with a fight with Mikey Garcia. And if that is true, I'll just throw it out there. If that is true, what are your thoughts about that? If he's gonna go ahead and face Mikey?
I think it's a tough fight for both fighters. I think it becomes a very tough fight for both fighters. I think more for Mikey Garcia. I don't know how Mikey Garcia can handle the movement of Pacquiao. If he thought that Bud, he was worried about the movement of Bud. Pacquiao's a busy bounce around type fighter, and I don't know if Mikey can keep up with the speed of Manny Pacquiao and keep up with that, kind of the rhythm and the combinations that he throws out there. If he can get the timing down, Pacquiao, I think I favor Pacquiao in this fight, man. Even at this age of 40, I think Pacquiao gives Mikey Garcia trouble. Just don't see Mikey being a guy who can work well against someone with with fast movement like that in and out, irky jerky type style that Pacquiao throws off. And I think Pacquiao's gonna probably put on a display like he put on against Keith Thurman. They both have a common opponent in and who was that? They have that common opponent in Adrian Broner. And I think Manny Pacquiao did a greater job in the work that he put in against Adrian Broner. Not to make so much of an exact comparison, like, because it's two different styles, but Adrian Broner having issues with that style. Same thing I find with Mikey Garcia. I don't think Mikey Garcia works well against these rhythm type fighters. You can freeze him up. Pacquiao's experience, his knowledge inside that ring. He knows exactly what he's going to do against Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia's been sitting on the shelf. Pacquiao, he knows how to get himself back into shape. He's an older man. He can use the rest on his body. Mikey Garcia putting on a ton of weight. But before that, bulking up in weight, because bulking up muscle mass like that isn't the greatest thing for a fighter fighting down at that weight, especially when it's not of a natural, kind of a natural form to a person. You packing on artificial muscle. And I think it's going to be bad because Mikey was kind of bloated up. He blew up quite a bit in weight. And then now he has to come back down if he's getting that fight. I think Pacquiao's going to get that. Pacquiao's one of these old school era type fighters who keeps himself in shape. You don't never hear Mikey talking about, not Mikey, Manny Pacquiao. So one of these old school era fighters. And you don't hear anything about fat camps. These dudes are very strict on diet. They keep themselves in shape. And that's why I think I give a plus to Manny Pacquiao if he is fighting Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for certain. And you gave great points for both guys, how it's a dangerous fight. You see, the thing about it is this. You recognize right away that when it comes down to it, Manny Pacquiao is looking for fights with guys that he can be competitive with and not necessarily look to be in a extreme disadvantage by just someone being so much younger than him or whatever. But I'm going to tell you, man, he's going down a slippery slope. You can't keep darting in and out of the sport, taking chances with guys because you're just selecting them. If anybody remember the last quarter of Sugar Ray Leonard's career, that's where he ran into problems. When he started trying to stay safe and pick fighters and, make optimum money out of, a picked opponent. And in this case, we're not talking about cherry picks because Keith Thurman was not a cherry pick for Manny, but it was a lesser of greater evils because Thurman had been inactive. You could kind of see, because we talked about it, he didn't have that fire in his belly anymore. And Pacquiao felt like his experience over a guy like that, him being the legend in the sport and all of that, Keith Thurman would probably, the lights would be shining a little bright for his eyes. And they were. But late in the fight, Thurman started coming on and making it more of a challenge for him. So, but when you take a guy like Mikey Garcia, he will definitely present Manny with problems because Mikey is a good fighter. He's a great counterpuncher, and he can do everything that Marquez could do. That's where Manny will be in some trouble there. And Mikey ain't going to be blinded by the bright lights of being in there with Pacquiao. He's going to be chomping at the bit, relishing the opportunity to defeat the guy because, one, he's a smaller competing welterweight and everything, and Pacquiao could overlook that because even against Errol Spence, Mikey did certain things in that fight that made Earl feel better just boxing him than exchanging and deciding to do some things because offensively I'm talking about. And Manny is 40 plus years old. He ain't 35. He ain't 32. He is 40 plus. and he's gonna slip on that banana peel. It's gonna happen. And sometimes great fighters aren't pleased until that happens to them, and then they are forced out of the sport. It's a natural progression. Floyd was smart enough to get up out of there before that could happen to him. But we've seen even like fighters like my favorite fighter, Evander Holyfield. He had no business in there with James Toney and Chris Bird and those dudes because it was not a winning situation for him. He should have retired after he was able to get those titles back when he stopped Michael Moore and did some things. He should have been happy with being able. But that's, again, the thing that makes these guys great is also what makes them finally fizzle out in the sport, and they realize, oh, I guess I don't have it no more. You know, Joe Louis had to be knocked out by Rocky Marciano, an upcoming heavyweight stud, before he realized, you know, this is my last fight. You know, prior to that, he was still out there thinking he can, you know, get the job done. I mean, you've been champ for as long as you have, had as many title defenses that you had. I think Joe Louis had like 25 title defenses or something like that, Reggie. So, again, Manny ain't going to be happy until one of these guys do to him what Marquez did to him. So, that's how I see that. So, and if the fight happens, it's probably going to be a pretty good fight. You know what I mean? But I could actually see him going around that robin one too many times. So, but yeah. Salute to Curtis Anderson out there. He says, salute my people. Kurt's out there in the chat. We got a few other people making some comments, but it's a different conversation. Yeah, so, but yeah, Reggie, let's get into some of these fights, man, that are coming up over the weekend. Before that, I had something I was going to ask you about the news that had come out a little earlier about it's looking more and more now like Tyson Fury may be stepping into negotiations with Deontay Wilder. So I think they're actually going to start finally admitting that arbitration thing is not necessarily going well for them in the event that he does what he wants to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are your thoughts on this, Reggie, if these guys are going to go ahead and fight each other again?
I think that's the fight most people want to see. and it's the fight that's supposed to happen, man. You honor these contracts. You put contracts out here, they should be honored. Anthony Joshua put out a contract with a clause in it. It was honored. Now Eddie Hearn thing, and this is kind of the behavior of a spoiled child. This is the behavior of one of these silver spoon childs. The way that Eddie Hearn went about trying to enact an interference with what's supposed to happen in the trilogy between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. That silver spoon crap, where there, you know, what works for me ain't the same for you type of deal. And he comes in here with a bunch of lies, hearing them speak today, talking about the Arab countries. They had their lawyer. There's a UK lawyer. There's an American lawyer. Why are all these lawyers involved in this situation? There's something dealing with them needing to protect themselves against Eddie Hearn and his lies. I wonder if Eddie Hearn end up snaking these people and taking away some money that they were promised that he ended up reneging on, because he sure in the heck ain't went back up over there. So they built a stadium just for that, to not get anything else in return, no other big fights. So they probably don't trust this dude working with that kind of money. There's probably all sorts of other stipulations. Eddie Hearn trying to probably pull slick stuff behind people's backs. And they're seeing that, and also knowing that this ain't the order in which this fight game is going to work. Tyson Fury has an obligation he must complete while he holds on to that title that's there. And also the WBC ought to be holding a dang standard to making sure that he honors what was in the contract before that title was even put on the line. But they just go on wherever they hear the money at because they're a bunch of rats. So they know it's cheese over here. That's where they taking their little rat over to. So, I like this fight, and this is a fight that needs to be kind of figured out between these two. Because in my opinion, I think they're both 1-1. Knowing that second fight, Wilder wasn't the same. So get him in here as 100%. And see what they get, and then also seeing what he's working on from that video he released, and that's the other thing I think was brilliant for them to do. All that silence. Sometimes silence is the best language spoken, but there's two sides to that. Sometimes being quiet throughout a situation or ordeal could be detrimental as well. And him coming out to speak at that moment in which he spoke came out at the proper time, and releasing the video, showing what he's working on. Things look better, even though it's a short clip. It's not an opponent in front of him, but he's working on things with Malik Scott, who may end up turning out to be better than what we thought. And seeing what they present in this third go around, because what Eddie Hearn's trying to do is create some historics with the fighter that he has over there. He's hoping, or at least he's going to create some history with him being a promoter that brings a unified champion back to the UK. That's what he's banking on, and that's why he's in such a rush to getting it going on. But he also dealing with over in that region where you get an explosion in that coronavirus. So ain't no telling how things are going to work with travel. I know in India you got a huge explosion in coronavirus cases that are rising. They may end up taking precautions over on that side of the country. So Eddie, with all this bull crap, I'm glad it blew up in his face. Bob Arum ain't buying for it. I think I heard what Bob Arum was heading up to Napa Valley to go and meet with the arbitrator. I seen where Wilder, I think his wife posted they were up in Napa as well. So that tells me they were both in there meeting with whoever's the guy working over the situation between the two to kind of, get things smoothed out, whether they're going to go into a fight or make some other agreement. But I think ultimately they're going to go into a fight. You see him back in there working with Sugar Hill. He knows what time it is, and he's ready to get back in there. And in my opinion, I think he's going back in there against Deontay Wilder, and it should come out to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a tough fight for both of those fighters. Even though Wilder has the power, still going in here with a difficult heavyweight opponent. I'm not into what people come up about the guy cheating and all that crap. I treat it as Tyson Fury won. Ain't no evidence come out. He got to be treated as he won fair and square. That's my opinion. But Wilder has to come in here with the tools that he's developing with Malik Scott, and he has to present that in the damn boxing ring. Ain't no one-punch knockout. You can have all the power in the world, but if this guy's intelligent enough to know how to anticipate just a single punch that everybody's worried about, it's not going to work. Boxing is always going to be the key. And I think while they're working on boxing, he looks good in the training video. But like I said, it's a video without an opponent in front of him. But just to see him be able to show movement, showing ability to throw punches in combination, showing greater speed on release and bringing that jab back. Because Wilder showed a lot of laziness in some of the fights, even though he was winning. But when you go back and review these fights, you see a lot of lazy things that Wilder was able to get away with. But coming in here against a more skilled, large, heavyweight opponent like a Tyson Fury, it became numbered. So he has to tune in on these things and work on what got him there to begin with. And I think that's what we're going to get in this third fight. And he can probably go in here without having to even knock Tyson Fury out. He can probably outbox Tyson Fury, outpoint him just with athletic abilities. Like that's what God gifted us with. Show it inside that ring. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and how about also Reggie commenting somewhat on what was released earlier this week, the video of Wilder and his training, because we got a chance to see him, I guess, working with his new trainer on some things that, hey, they felt confident enough to show us the film. And I know you had you had done a video on that as well. What were your thoughts on what you were able to see from the video clips that were released?
Oh, I liked it, man. I liked the movement I seen. Good footwork. He's moving around. Got him ducking down to where he can change levels, dipping up under shots, but shows me that he's able to squat down, get up under some stuff, better head movement, because Wilder really didn't move his head much to get out the way of things. He'll just lean back, put his hands up, roll with the punch, anticipate the punch. No, now it's time to get out the way, make the fighter miss, counter the fighter. I think those are good things to work on, but the best thing that looks like they're implementing is Wilder's footwork. What failed him in that second fight was his legs. Show better legs, better foot movement, the ability to move. I like the way in which he was able to turn, twist with his feet, get his feet right back under him after throwing a shot, doubling up on that jab. The jab was fast. The recoil on that jab, he shot the jab, bring it right back, like a pistol. Fired, recoil, bringing it right back, and that was good. Showing him doubling up on it. Showing him he did the one move where Scott was like fake the jab, right hand behind it. It's a lot, and Wilder can use that jab to kind of guide Tyson Fury's head in the direction of the punch. I've seen a lot of fighters, man, as I've been going back watching a lot of these fights and watching how some fighters will use they'll throw a jab outwards to get a fighter anticipating. This is really setting a fighter up to that fighter. He shoots the jab out towards the left side, where the fighter moves back over towards the right side of the fighter, lining him up right with with that right hand behind him. Wilder can use that to set it up, but shouldn't just be looking for that right hand. Punching down to the body, show some of them jabs down to the body. Wilder's definitely going to need that as a tool. And hopefully they work on something, seeing how well his leg, how well he moved. Maybe they're working on some inside things, because some things he's going to have to work on the inside. And if they can develop an uppercut for Wilder, that'd be super key. Get him one of them Lennox Lewis uppercuts. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Now, as far as my thoughts and what I thought of what I saw of his training video, once again, I'm not an advocate of the just only the pads, but from the pad work that they were showing, you could see some different things, and different doesn't always translate into better. But the fact that this man is 35 years old, and different may be better for him, doing something different. But you would be more inclined to feel better about if it's something that they're not showing you that they really have in store as a surprise. Now that, if on fight night, if this rubber match takes place, I would feel very gratified to find that out, that he had something, in the bag that wasn't revealed. But the mere fact that they showed him doing something different at all is a good thing. My thoughts also are, this is a fight where Deontay has to do things differently. A new wrinkle would be to show some inside work, to be able to get on the inside of Fury's reach and bang the body and go to the body like with reckless abandon. It's like it'll be something that nobody was expecting him to do, and he attacks it like a rat going after cheese. That would be something that I would like to see. That would make a tremendous difference in the bout. Salute to Reggie out there in that super chat. He says, smash that like button, people. Yes, sir. Smash that like button for us, because we're out here bringing this content for you, and it's a great way to support the channel and keep things going. Keep the lights on, so to speak. But yeah, That would definitely be something that I would be encouraged, Reggie, if he was able to show some wrinkles that they didn't show in the videotape. You know what I mean? But on fight night, he comes in there. There's this hook that you can throw to the body. It requires, especially if you're a right hand puncher, when you dip over, it's like that person may think you throwing that right, and they may dip over to avoid that right, and then you come up with that 45 to the body. It's like to the breadbasket or the rib cage. That's a great punch. Mike Tyson used it a lot against Tony Tucker when they fought after the like second and third rounds, because Kevin Rooney was telling him, I need you to go to the body. Forget about the head. Go to the body. Body, body, body. And Tyson followed Kevin Rooney's instructions and was doing this little move where, you know, he was getting in there to the body. And it's one of those things like a new wrinkle can really set a guy, meaning the opponent, out of sorts, because it's like, where the hell that come from? You understand? So I would be more pleased if what they showed you was something that, you know, because he looked pretty good doing what he was doing, right? So say that they were working on that from a long time ago, and he's kind of got that down, which is why he looked good doing it, but they got something else that's up their sleeve as a trick, not a trick, but a new wrinkle, you know? I remember when Lennox was being trained by Emmanuel Stewart, he had some punches that he had never thrown before. One was the check hook, okay, and the other was the uppercut. Lennox didn't throw a lot of uppercuts. He was really right hand crazy. He was probing with his jab, and he would look to just throw everything into that right hand. So similar to like Wilder. But Emmanuel taught him how to shorten the right hand, because if a person gets beyond your jab, and with Lennox, with his 80+ inch reach, you know, his jab, he held that jab hand kind of halfway out there to begin with. That was by design. And if his elbow, when he jab you, if his elbow is bent, he can drop the right hand on you. See, it wasn't like, you know how some guys, they shoot the jab, and when they throw the right hand is too short or whatever. Well, Lennox understood distance, and Emmanuel taught him how to, if you throw a punch and your arm isn't fully extended, then that means that person is inside the range for you to really nail them good. And that's the science part of it in teaching. So if what's his name? The trainer, Reggie, I forget his name, Malik Scott. Yeah. If he's getting Wilder to understand those subtle nuances, because I know some people were like, oh, this guy, he was a fighter himself. He's Deontay's boy, this or that. But listen, some guys are better boxing minds than they were fighters. You know what I mean? And if he's able to convey to Deontay what he needs to absorb, and he can bring new wrinkles into the rematch, that is a check in the box toward victory. You know what I mean? And you have to have confidence in somebody. And maybe this gentleman, if he and Deontay do have a relationship and know one another and familiar, maybe he can speak to him in a manner to get him to have confidence in what he's telling him, because he's knowing that the benefit out of him being successful with what he shares with him, if he does it and he's successful with it, it's like that brings them like this, you know, like gel. I just want to see these men come together again in their rubber match, and may the best guy win. I hope there's no disqualifications or anything like that, but I do want to see a competitive match where, you know, somebody is like really trying to put themselves in a position for victory. And I know he wants this rematch really bad, but he can't go in there with a hot head. He has to be cool under fire. He has to be like Joe Louis when Joe Louis went in there for Max Schmeling in their rematch. That's what's important here. You know, win. win. That's the most important thing. So yeah, I look forward to that. Yeah. So I just wanted to get on that real quick, and now we can move on toward the fights that we're going to see this weekend. One of the fights that a lot of people don't care much about, Reggie, is the Chisora and Parker fight. I don't even care for this fight very much, but we got to get it out of the way. Derek Chisora and Joseph Parker are going to fight tomorrow, and I think it's one of those fights that's going to be in the early part of the afternoon and whatnot. Parker didn't look too good in his last outing against Fa, and Chisora didn't look too good against Usyk. So what? you know, this the battle of the underachievers or something. I guess that's what this should be subtitled, because these two men, they're not bums. Even though Chisora has all those losses on his record, I just believe he doesn't take the same stock in being victorious. He's just a guy that goes out there. I call Chisora's style the caveman style, Reggie. And that's because he has nothing but a clubbing mindset. But if he were to ever put punches together with behind jabs and things like that, he may be more successful. But as long as he continues to go out there like a brute, he will be brutalized. And because that's the game plan to know it. Now, Parker, we don't know what mixed bag of cats he is, because he's had opportunities and he has always looked lackluster, unmotivated, and just like, I don't know, I can't get Parker's mentality in boxing. He should be doing something else. What are your thoughts on this fight, Rich?
It's going to be a slop fest because of Chisora. I think my only issues with Chisora is the way in which he fights. He come out there sloppy. He comes out there to try to push weight around on folks. He doesn't come in the best of conditions, and he tires out. And that's what I've seen in his last two fights, is him throwing off punches and becoming tired and can't go any further. If he would have been in better shape, he possibly could have got Usyk up out of there, except he let the younger heavyweight outshow him and put a late beat down on him because he started to fade. Seeing Parker versus Fa, they came in better shape. I thought Parker was gifted a decision in that fight, but here him and Chisora going in here, I think he's just going to do what Usyk was able to do, except he's going to be able to jab enter with Chisora, but just move around on Chisora, let Chisora tire himself up. But hopefully he's in good cardio condition, and see what he gets from there. Hopefully they make it an interesting fight, but knowing Chisora and where he's at in his career, I don't think it's going to be too good of a fight, but I do think I favor Parker in winning this fight. Probably going to be a lot of holding because Chisora's going to get tired, trying to survive, trying to catch his win. But I think Parker's going to be able to outscore him in this one.
Yeah, there's just something about Chisora that speaks volumes of being no more than what he is, right? And then with Parker, it's the same, because Parker has ability, but I don't think he has motivation. I don't think he has gumption. Like, I'm going to take this tonight. I'm going to, it's like he's so lackluster. I'm trying to find another sports figure that he reminds me of, because there's some complacency there and no sense of urgency. No, it's just like his fight with Dillian White. You remember the fight was there for him, and White was looking really tired, and you could have probably blew on White really hard and he would have fallen down. And he found a way to let White drop him, and just it's like, what are you doing, man? It's like, but that's who he is. And, there's nothing to write home about. This guy, Parker, is a real underachiever, bro. And I just don't give him much. Hopefully Chisora can pull a victory out and keep himself thriving out there or whatever. I really like Parker, and fighters like Parker. I like them to go away from boxing because they don't bring anything. They don't bring any challenge. They don't bring any sense of competitiveness or pride and taking stock in what they do. Don't forget, he could have fought Deontay Wilder and tried for a unification with Wilder. Okay? No, he went the AJ route. And then he ended up fighting for Ed Hearn, under the Matchroom after, giving his belt, selling his belt to AJ. Wilder was the least experienced boxer out of the guys, even though he was a champion. It's like, that's your opportunity right there. But what, you scared of the right hand? Everybody throws right hands in the sport. It's like you worry about Wilders and you go out there and you get knocked out or nearly knocked out by Dillian White. Go figure. You understand? This is what I'm talking about. That's why guys talk about, low risk, high reward. There's no such thing. When you get in there and that bell rings and somebody start trying to hit you upside your head, if they hit you in the right spot at the right time and whatnot, you could be an invalid or even worse, dead. So it's like, it's always a high risk in there. And you listen to people say this thing in the other manner, and it's like, it's not true. Because anytime somebody's punching you in your head, it's serious business. Serious business. So yeah, let's get this one out the way, man. I'm pulling for Caveman. I don't know that he'll win, but that's who I'm pulling for. To hell with Joseph Parker. How you gonna be a guy named Parker and get bit by a spider and don't become Spider-Man? Get out of here, man. Caveman all the way, hopefully. But anyway, that's all I have to say about those two guys there, man. Reggie, we have also coming up tomorrow, we're gonna see the return of Erisande Lara. Now this gentleman right here, Reggie, and he's taking on Lamana, but Lara is getting a little long in the tooth. We talk about guys like Triple G and Manny Pacquiao and everything, but Lara is becoming an old guy in this sport, Reggie. And sooner or later, those banana peels, they start, showing up. And I'd just like to know what your thoughts are when you talk about this fight.
This one, I'm trying to remember, because I know I seen LaManna fight, call him Cornflake. And I'm trying to remember. I remember seeing Lord in his last fight, and I remember seeing him thump it out. And I think Lord may be able to have the experience, the movement to possibly pull this fight off against this cat, LaManna. I just really think he'll be able to pull off against LaManna. I'm trying to pull his record up. He is beyond his prime, but that's what I was tripping. Like, how is he fighting LaManna? I don't remember LaManna being on some sort of a win streak or whatever it is. So I don't know if this is supposed to be the easy route for Laura. I think I've seen this a belt out here being offered for this fight. I think I see Laura beating this kid LaManna in this fight. I think Laura's gonna pull this one off. I just don't. In that fight I've seen from LaManna, I don't see the skill level there. Even though Laura's up there in age, I still think he has enough in him to be able to pull that off against LaManna, who's a kid that's short of experience. I don't think he's gonna pose any kind of issue for for Laura in this fight. So I think I got Laura winning this fight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because Laura, you know, his legs aren't the same. He used to be able to move and everything, and that fight with Hurd took a lot out of him. It really did. Hurd was a much bigger man, and even though they made the weight for that division, Hurd was much bigger on fight night and everything. And when you go in there against those physical specimens like that and they get a chance to touch on you, the whole thing is to not let them hit you too much. And he took a lot of punishment in that fight against Hurd. So amazingly being able to come back from that and you'll be champion and things like that. But I don't know enough about Lamana, but if he has pop on his punches, it's going to be interesting because Lara can't move like he used to. He's going to have to fight. And as an aging fighter, you don't want to be getting into battles late in your career like this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, is he going to be ready to deal with this guy appropriately? Or is it going to be one of those things that, they've caught him on a good night? And everybody don't have that, that thing in them where they continue to reach to the well, like a Canelo, not Canelo, like a Pacquiao. When Pacquiao can, against younger fighters or whatever, he can pick them and, have some advantages and whatnot. But it may not necessarily work out that way for him in this fight. But we'll see. We'll see how it happens. But I just, thought that this is definitely a fight that, people need to keep their eye on Lara, because like I said, this guy is getting to be a little long in the tooth, man, and things happen. You know what I mean? Things happen. So, I say he should be favored because we know more of him than the other guy, but don't be surprised when you get an old guy like Lara like that, and then he just happens to fall apart because, it hit Father Time, undefeated. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say about that one. That's what I say about that one. Yeah. So, but there's some other fights that are on the horizon. I know we also have the pay-per-view match that's later that night. And that's the heavyweight bout between the return of Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz Jr. taking on Chris Arreola. Again, this is another fight with an aging fighter, but at the heavyweight division, Reggie, this could turn into something pretty ugly for Arreola, because Arreola has been in some wars in his career, but he's in there with a guy who got some fast hands, Reggie, and now who's in condition as well. I think he weighed in today at 256, Ruiz, which is far cry from what he weighed when he fought Anthony Joshua, where he was nearly 300 pounds. And that hand speed is going to be there. I remember when they were doing the behind the scenes interview and everything, and Arreola was speaking about having met Ruiz in the gym, and he said that Ruiz surprised him in the gym when they got a chance to work together and everything, because he said that the guy had some very fast hands. He said he jumped on him. He gave him a couple of solid shots that stunned him. He's like, man, I can't play with this kid. I got to get in there and, and get to work on him and whatnot. And it reminded me of sentiments that Evander Holyfield shared about Andy Ruiz Jr. too. He said that when he was working with Andy in the gym, he said he couldn't get out of the way of Andy's punches. And he's like, here it is, I'm a 5-time heavyweight champion of the world. And it's like, this guy is all over me and I can't get away from him. You know, when he got on Anthony Joshua, Joshua couldn't get away from him. And that was a supposedly in shape Joshua. So that rematch where people talk about Joshua playing keep away, yeah, it was a good look for Joshua in that sense that he was able to keep away. But don't forget that Andy was in such poor condition that he couldn't go after him. So you had one guy who wouldn't engage and the other guy who couldn't engage. That won't be the case tomorrow night. And I think that Andy has had a taste of some success, meaning being around a camp with Canelo Alvarez and his trainer. He's going to have a different mindset. And it's going to be different from what Areola knew of him before. You know what I mean? So it's like it's going to be something that people are really going to have to take some stock in tomorrow night. And I wouldn't be surprised if Areola's corner might end up having to throw the towel in for him because you know he's going to be brave, right? But I think Andy might just put the beams on him tomorrow night, Reggie. So give me your thoughts and your breakdown on it.
I think Andy gonna spank him too, man. I think he's gonna put that work on him, man. And seeing Andy coming in there in better shape. I mean, why he couldn't do this a long time ago, but it is what it is. I think he's gonna go in here and really put a lesson in here on Areola. He's gonna probably go in here and retire Areola, and I think Areola wants to fight because Areola in his pursuit of becoming the first Mexican heavyweight not being able to achieve it. So now you had the guy who actually achieved it and the guy who was at the door facing each other in this pay-per-view event. And I think Areola's going to always give it his all. Whatever's in his heart, he's going to put out there in the ring until Andy Ruiz puts an end to it. I think Andy's just going to go in here and put these quick hands on him, start to wear down on Areola, but Andy can't go in here and do what Kowalski did against Areola because Areola loves those type of exchanges. So he's going to have to be smart how he fights. He fights very smart. So I don't think he's going to be in there trying to trade off with Areola unless he gets pulled in. I don't know if there's going to be a crowd in there. Sometimes a fighter can get pulled in to a fight that doesn't benefit him, but he has a trainer who I think will snap his brain back into fighting their plan, not engaging into a Chris Areola fight. He engages with that. He gives Chris Areola a ton of chances. And just like Kawanaki, well, that was Kawanaki's style. So I can't even make Andy Ruiz in that comparison. But Andy Ruiz with the better hands, lighter on his feet with the weight he's coming in at. Hopefully he doesn't blow up tomorrow. He stays around this weight so that way he can move around and just put the quick hands on Areola and stop him. But that's my thoughts on that.
And I'm sorry, Reggie, what's Canelo's trainer again? What's his name?
Reynoso. Eddie Reynoso.
Eddie Reynoso. This is the thing that I really like that's going in favor of Andy in this fight. Being around a high caliber and quality championship fighter like Canelo, which Canelo is let's not get that twisted. Sometimes that pedigree can rub off on you. Let's not forget that Andy is talented, right? Boom. That's one. Andy is now a former heavyweight champion. Boom. That's two, right? Andy is the first Mexican heavyweight champion in history. Mic drop. See, this is the thing. Reynoso can get in his head like nobody else at this particular time because of the accomplishments that he has garnered working with Canelo. And he has no choice but to respond to that. He has no choice but to want to please these men, meaning both Canelo and Reynoso. And that's something as Crawlface just said in the chat there, he said, I'm so excited for that. That's something to be excited about, because now he's going to fight like somebody who feels like he's a champion, or he should be. That should be what we should be seeing out of him tomorrow night. You know what we may also be seeing? We may be seeing tactical work. We may be seeing a jab. We might be seeing him go to the body like he hasn't done before, because I've seen those clips of them working together in the gym and Canelo showing him little subtle movements off of defense and how to punch out of certain positions and things like that. Those kind of things can do nothing but help a guy. And when you have a high caliber camp like that, where there's nothing but respect, you see, I wish he had this going into that Joshua rematch, because he could have still pulled that fight out. But you can't, cry over spilled milk. This is a situation where Andy could really show his wares. He could show why they made a mistake in selecting him to fight Joshua in the first place. And because Areola is older now, he's 40 plus, he's been in wars and stuff, this is definitely a showcase opportunity for Andy, and he must do it in the most exciting of fashions. He can't go in there and have a lackluster fight. He can't go in there and it look like a maul and grab session and things like that. He's got to put them hands on Areola. And as I stated earlier, I see Areola's cornerman stopping the fight because he's too brave for his own good. He'll keep fighting, But Andy is also the kind of guy that in this kind of situation, he can make you look bad and make you look bad really fast. So, but that's how I see it. And I'm expecting Andy by a middle to late round stoppage. Whether it's a TKO, quit on the stool, a towel thrown in, something like that. But this is a fight that Areola should not have taken. And I'll put it to you like this. Remember when Kalnaki found out that Helenas was, not going to go nowhere that night, right? And Kalnaki was like, oh, it's a bad day at the office. So that's what it's going to be like for Areola in this fight, except for he has a more talented guy across from him than Kalnaki had. So, anything left on that?
No, that's my thoughts on that one. I think Andy's going to really put notice on his name for the heavyweight division that he's back. He has to make a statement to climb himself back up, and he's going to have to try to do it in impressive fashion. If he can get the stoppage, or if he takes it to a decision, make it a clean sweep on Areola. Give Areola a defeat no one has ever put on him. So he has to come out here in great fashion.
Yes, sir. I agree. So, was there any of these fights that you wanted to speak on in detail anymore, Reggie? Because I know the card for the Ruiz pay-per-view fight, there's some fights on that undercard, but even we got Katie Taylor is fighting again on the Sky Sports Parker and Chisora card. So she's coming out again to defend her titles. Anything else you want to talk about these people?
No, that's it. I don't know who Kaylee's fighting, but at least she's getting back in that ring and she's being active. I got to give her credit for that. There's really no one else that I know that's on these cards. I'm going to try to check them out because I got my cousins out here in town, so probably go see him today and then see what they got going tomorrow. But I'll probably end up missing most of these fights because I'll probably be out there where he's at. But I got to sneak in some of my boxing, so I'm going to definitely try to catch the Andrew Ruiz fight, depending on what I'm doing by that time tomorrow.
Now, going back to the Ruiz Areola card, Omar Figueroa, is he the really good brother or is he the other one? Because I know one of the brothers is a really good fighter, but I don't follow them that closely to remember which one it is.
I don't know. I don't follow, man. They act too feminine for me. They act like LGBTQT boxers to me. I don't follow neither one of them.
It's gonna be interesting. The undercards, I can see they don't have any outstanding guys, but competitive matches. I don't consider these showcase bouts because right now, hungry young lions that want to be fed are going for it, and we're bound to see some upsets. The only thing is that the Ruiz Areola fight is definitely a showcase for Ruiz, and the fact that they brought a guy in there that can't move around. Remember that too, Reggie. He can't move on his feet and stuff like that. It's gonna make Andy look even better, So it's like, wow, when you heard Holyfield say he couldn't get out of the way of those punches, wait till you hear Areola talk about how he wasn't able to get out of the way of those punches. Shoot. But yeah, man. I don't have any more content that I want to talk about tonight. I know we're going to have a post-fight show tomorrow night. The fights that are on the horizon, because this is an interesting month, Reggie. We have fights scheduled for every weekend, coming up. So that Hunter and Hrgovic fight that they announced, I mean, if that is going to take place, it'll probably be like July or something like that, maybe, I don't know. But there are some fights that we can look forward to. I mean, you got Haney and Linares coming up. That's May 29th. And again, like we kind of touched on before, this is the kind of fight that, I like to see Devin Haney in there with a guy like this, because I don't think Linares is going to knock him out or anything like that, but he could give him rounds of quality opposition. Linares has been stopped. He's been knocked down. He's been cut. But he's an experienced veteran. And when you got a guy that's so young like Devin Haney, fighting these experienced veterans are good for him. Even if he beats them easily or whatever, it's like the fact that you have these guys. It's like when Floyd beat up Gennaro Hernandez. You remember that, Reggie? It was like Floyd challenging for his first real world title like that, and he beat the crap out of Hernandez so badly, he made Hernandez look like he didn't, belong in the ring with him. And if Shakur can put on a performance like that in this type of matchup, kudos to him. That's what we need to see. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that'll be major if Devin Haney can go out there and pull off a Floyd versus Hernandez. Can fight an intelligent fight, because it's going to be a match of wits. It's going to be a lot of mental gameplay going on inside that fight, and as well as Devin Haney's youth, he's going to have to keep the pace up high on this older guy. Really test where his lungs at, and just continue to push him, press the attack on him, but stay intelligent in that fight, because he's going to be dealing with a crafty veteran who's probably going to try to set some things up, knowing that he has to go into a different skill set, being he's in here with a younger, faster guy. But just because someone's younger and faster doesn't mean that takes everything away from you. Because there's also a thing a slower guy can work. A slower guy has to his advantage against a quicker guy, and that's timing as well. So Devin has to be mindful of that and not get too overexcited if he is blowing Linares out or finding that he's much faster than Linares and starts to open himself up for mistakes that get timed and he gets caught with something. So if he can continue on with that attack, stay safe, stay smart, and stops Linares, man, it's just going to boost him up. And now that he got one other player who's trying to knock him for so long out the way, hey, sky's the limit for Devin Haney.
Yeah, and again, when we talk about, see, this is one of those kind of things that you like to look at when you're assessing your young talent. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Haney is now 22 or 23, Reggie?
That I don't know. I'm going to pull it up real quick.
Mm-hmm. Because being so young and talented, his talent is probably out ahead of his age. And just imagine when he starts to mature, his body starts to mature, he becomes 24, 25, 26 years old. Man, that's not going to be a guy you want to be in there with. So if he can get these kind of fights under his belt right away, like a fight like this and then another, veteran like that, former champ, and then start taking on people like, B-Hop, Lil B-Hop or whatever, that I would like to see that be the way that they go. He says Haney is 22. Okay. See, man, just think about it. Mike Tyson won the heavyweight title when he was 22 years old. That's something else. You think about what you do when you were 22, and you're being a world champion. Out there beating men who were veteran champions. That's good stuff. One of the other things I would like to see on the horizon, Reggie, is this Jamel Herring. I would like to see him take on Shakur Stevenson. That's a good fight. That's a good money fight. They're supposed to be familiar with one another and everything, out of the same camps at some point in time and whatnot. It's time for guys to start being businessmen and getting down to the business of fighting, not businessmen avoiding, friendships and all of this stupid stuff. I mean, there have been tons of fighters who were friends. There have been tons of fighters who became better friends after fighting one another because of the level of respect that is developed. You know what I mean? That's something to be thought about. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Reggie? You there? Can you hear me, Reggie?
Okay, yeah, there you go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, something happened there. It was like it was a glitch or something. But were you able to hear what I was saying?
I got it in my ear, and I still hear you talking on YouTube, but I couldn't hear you over here.
Well, when you listen in on YouTube, there's like a 20-second delay. So like what I say live, it's like 20 seconds, it catches up. So, but I wanted to know your opinion on a fight taking place between Shakur and Herring.
Oh, Herring finally gonna step up. Oh, that's gonna be good right there. That's a good test for both of those fighters. Salute to Herring for taking that. And it's going. I don't want to take everything away from Herring just based on seeing how skillful and smooth the style of Shakur Stevenson is, and thinking that guarantees him a victory. Who knows? Herring may be on this ride, man. He can go in there and give Shakur some tough work. But I'm going with Shakur in this fight. But I would love to see Herring make this a very, very tough fight, especially with a title on the line. You got to earn these belts. You got to earn these titles that only make you a greater champion, especially if you can have the torch passed over to you. Herring coming out, they both kind of coming out of almost the same circles, but different coaches. That's going to be an excellent bout, but I ultimately will give it to Shakur. But looking at the way Herring came off of smashing Frampton, gotta wonder what it is. Herring more experienced than Shakur.
That could be a very large confidence booster too. Coming off that Frampton victory. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that gives us a chance to speak on that notion. Sometimes when you beat someone who had a name, who had that respect or whatever, it's like Lennox says, or used to say, I snatched it all away from him, you know what I mean, and put it on me. It's like, that's how Lennox used to say it, but it's very true. When you defeat someone who had a certain status of respect and stature in the sport, and you take them down, you take their place, So that could have done something really positive for Herring if he decides to stay at this weight and he decides to go ahead and defend that title against Shakur. I mean, that's a fight that boxing welcomes. You know what I mean? Yes, it's easy for him to drop the belt and go up to another weight class or whatever, but where can he make the money that he would make against fighting Shakur, Reggie?
No, you're right.
Yeah, so even if he went up to a higher weight, he's not going to be the guy who's on the greater beneficiary side of the purse. So he might as well do what he can do. Because even if he loses to Shakur, he could still move up and still get the same kind of consideration for moving up. Because Shakur will now be the champion there anyway, right? So just go ahead and move up after making that great purse against Shakur. And if you happen to lose the fight, it's not 100% that he would. Right? It's not 100% that he would lose. So if he does happen to lose, go move up and still try to do something. But don't miss out on legacy, because this means something. And if you lost to Shakur, it's not the end of the world. The young guy's he's like a blue chipper young stud. So people will give you credit more for fighting him than they would for you going up and doing something else when you could have fought him. And let us see how good he really is or isn't, right? I mean, let's hear your final thoughts on that, Reg.
No, those are my thoughts. What I was opening with. I just want to see what they give. I like Shakur more than Herring, but I ain't gonna take nothing away from Herring. Just being what he is at the moment. He is a champion. He is riding a wave. He's coming off of an electric victory, smashing Frampton in a way we've seen no one smash him in. Shakur being a younger fighter, feeling that he's going to be able to take that belt away from Herring, but how great is the will of Herring? If Herring can come in there and keep Shakur away from taking that belt, and that's going to be a hard one for him. It's going to be a hard one for Shakur, and that's the way it should be. That's the way championship fights should be. So I want to give Herring a little bit of hope of thinking he can make it competitive and maybe even possibly holding on to his belt. But ultimately, I'm going to give it to Shakur. But this is the first this level opponent that we've seen Shakur come in here against, and got to see what he looks like.
Yeah. I hope it's something good on the horizon, though. I really do. Before we get out of here, let's just mention this thing here with Mike Tyson deciding not to fight Evander Holyfield, which I didn't think he was anyway, Reggie, because Evander Holyfield and he have an ugly history. And regardless of if they've been on camera and say that they've made up and this and that, when that bell rings, if they're facing opposite one another, you have to understand that Evander Holyfield would really want to put his fist through Mike Tyson's cranium. And Mike Tyson don't feel like he can beat Evander Holyfield. That's why he bit him in their second fight. So this is the kind of thing that it's more telling about him than anything else. It's like he's even thrown Lennox Lewis's name out there. Lennox is willing to take him on. Well, Lennox can do that, but I don't think Lennox is going to come back. I really don't, because Lennox looks like he's really in full-on retirement, man. And power to the brother if he is, because he's earned that. But Mike Tyson is a circus. He always has been. And he would not want to bring anybody in there that's going to upset his sideshow. And Evander Holyfield would definitely be one to do that. Your thoughts?
I don't know what to think on this. I ain't put too much thought into it. I don't know. I really ain't got no thought into it. I hope Lennox don't come
and
back.
that's okay. It really is. But I just thought I would mention it because earlier in the week, that's one of the things that they were talking about. You know, that's one of the things that they were talking about earlier in the week. That it's probably going to be Lennox now. It's not going to be Holyfield at all, you know. Yeah, so.
But
anyway.
but Holyfield fighting McBride, I think.
Yeah, that's the fight he's fighting as a comeback tune-up exhibition or whatever. But remember, the fight with him and Tyson was supposed to be for the fall. And I don't think it's happening. I really don't. And I don't want any of them. Holyfield is near 60 years old, Reggie. You know? I don't want to see that guy in the ring. I keep talking about this. It's like, even as an exhibition. I think he did an exhibition years ago with that politician. What was his name? I can't think of the guy's name. Mitt Romney. I think he did something with Mitt Romney years ago. And that was like, you know, it was okay, but that was a real exhibition because you know he wasn't going to hit Mitt Romney. But he will hit Mike Tyson. You could believe that. Dude bit part of his ear off, Reggie. Come on, man. But anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, shoot, beat the crap out of Tyson. But yeah, man, let's get on out of here, man. Let's get your final thoughts. And don't forget to drop your link in the chat for your channel. Let everybody know where they can find you and what's coming up.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You guys can find me at Boxing Conversations and Boxing Conversation 2 for my backup. But once again, another good boxing talk, man. Hopefully these fights turn out to be entertaining. They ain't the bigger names of the sport, but that doesn't stop them from having some great fights put on tomorrow based on styles matchup and where they are level-wise. So hopefully they're good ones. Hopefully I can catch most of them. But like I said, I got a relative out here. But that's all I got on this one.
Yes, sir. And I thank you for being able to come in with me this evening. I think we opened up with a real serious conversation on some things that are happening with Felix Verdejo, and we hope that this has a more pleasant ending as what it's looking like for right now. But we'll stay tuned and stay posted on the information, and we will share it if there are any breaks in the story. Great conversation again. Great chat this evening. I know you guys were bantering, and I wasn't able to read a lot of the comments because of how we were discussing matters on the show, but I always respect the chat, what they bring to the channel, and I really appreciate the fact that we got people out here. We have a core audience, and that means a lot when you have a core audience. We have almost 50 likes on that audience, which means that, you know, even those who stop by just to hit the like button and may have dipped out, that's fine. We really appreciate the support. And for everybody who donated as a super chat, appreciate that as well. One more quick thing I wanted to say. We have once again, to a reminder of, Stormybman and the Stormybman channel is a supporter and official ambassador for the Black Gentleman Grooming Company. And the brother Junior the Truth over there doing some wonderful things, got several irons in the fire, and he has had me come aboard as an ambassador for the products that he promotes and sells over there. And if you go there to that website, there's a shareable link in the description box here on this channel just below, and you can enter the code StormyBman and get 10% off of any future purchases. Even if you purchase in bundles, that 10% will apply to that. And also down there is a link for the Stormybman merchandise, where you can get an assortment of t-shirts, hoodies, backpacks, coffee mugs, windbreakers. We have a number of items. Just yesterday, brother Junior the Truth was wearing one of the Stormybman hoodies. And if any of you know Junior in real life, or if you run across him, Junior's a big brother. And he was proudly sporting one of his Stormybman's hoodies. So that lets you know that big or small, we cover it all. And you just go over there to you click on the link there in the description, and you can pick out something for yourself. Get you 2 or 3 of them hoes, as Black Fight Fan would say. So, yeah, man, this has been a great show, Reggie. Thanks again. And we're going to catch everybody tomorrow night after the fights have ended with the post-fight show we'll be doing. Are you calling all of the fights, Reggie, or are you just calling the main event, or how are you doing it for tomorrow so people will know how to check you out?
No, because I don't know what fights I'm gonna watch, because I got my cousin out here with his family. So
okay.
After this, I'm gonna go down there and check them out, and then I'll see what they got going. If they got busy day tomorrow, then I'm definitely gonna call the fights.
Okay, because the Chisora Parker fight will be in the afternoon. I know that. It's going to be roughly somewhere between 1 or 2 p.m. Central, somewhere around there, that card. And, they have a few undercards, so the main event will be a couple of hours later at least. And then I heard Kurt Sugar and Blue Blood talking about the Showtime card with Lara. The undercard and everything is going to start at 6 p.m. Central, which is usually 8 p.m. Central for us, but they've moved it back to 7 o'clock Eastern time. So that fight will take place there, and then the Areola Ruiz fight will be on pay-per-view on FS1 pay-per-view or Fox Sports pay-per-view. It's going to be on their app as a pay-per-view, which is kind of weird because I heard the brothers talking about that just before I went live. So mind your apps and everything tomorrow, fellas and ladies out there, because they're kind of all over the place. But I don't think all of the fights are going to be overlapping like they've normally done, because at least the evening fights are all a part of the same network. So kind of like what ESPN did recently when they had all of their undercards on ESPN Plus or whatever, and then they switched to ESPN for the main event and whatnot. So kind of similar to that. So, but that's what we have. That's what's happening. And we're going to get ready to get on out of here. Let everybody enjoy the rest of their Friday night. And we'll catch you guys on the post-fight show tomorrow evening, man. So from my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, the Stormybman, we up out of here. We catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.